الله أكبر الله أكبر.
والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله الرحمة المهداة والنعمة المزداة والملاح. أعوذ بالله من شرور الأنفس ومن سيئات الأعمال. من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد. I would like to begin my talk by saying this talk will not be long, hopefully not. And then I would like to see what you think about what I'm going to say, so that you can have some interaction between us and you in this regard. I named the title Spiritual Resilience. The reason I name it that, or we name it, I give it that title, because, you know, in Islamic perspective, the core of human being is their soul, it's the spirit. Everything else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala equipped the person with, in terms of physical ability, it meant to serve that spiritual capacity. Therefore, I would like to, for a minute, all of us to think about ourselves as a spiritual being. And then we will go to the aspect of the resiliencies that we need to build, or that we might have already, and to figure out how to maintain it if we have it, if we don't have it, how to acquire it. The problem of the world today, all the problems, is an absence of understanding a human being in the way that Allah wants them to be understood, understanding themselves. And the absence of a spiritual discourse that bring down the issue of being a servant of Allah, concept of Ubudiyyah, to be the center of human endeavor, human project, I call it, human project. Because you and I were a project. That is, each one of us is a project of himself. But for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was his creation, was his servant, was his subject. What are we need to do, or what should we know about oneself to create this spiritual resilience? Number one is to develop the relationship between what's called al-muqayyad, the limited, with the infinite. Who's the infinite? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That relationship has to be understood. Because the lack of that understanding of that relationship, where the problem lies. If you ask me why people are arrogant, I will ask you why people are arrogant. What cause of arrogance was it?
Money.
Money. What else?
Status.
Status.
Ego.
Ego.
Power.
Power.
Strength.
Strength.
Greed.
Greed.
Pride.
What?
Pride.
Pride.
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Sisters. All of the above. All of those are not the cause. Those are the symptoms. Those are the symptoms. The cause of the lack of understanding the relationship with Allah. What do I mean by that? Look to everything that anyone thing you said. Just take one of, we can analyze each one of the issues that I mentioned. The issue of money. Why people think that because they have money, they are better than the others? Because they don't believe the money comes from Allah. They believe that the money comes from themselves. And they don't believe the person who doesn't have the money also is a creation of Allah. At that moment, it doesn't come to their head. They believe that they've been favored. And they believe that Allah criterion of favoring people by giving them money. That's lack of understanding the relationship with Allah. The nature of the religion. That's why today there's ministries in this country, religious ministries, based all their ministry based on the issue of prosperity. They said, if you believe in God, you're going to be rich. Let's come on. You know, God is with the rich people. If you're rich, that means God like you. And they create this excitement around money. You know that. Books been written. God and prosperity, God and money, and so forth. The people believe that. Therefore, that's a lack of understanding the nature of the nature of relationship between the subject, which was us, and the Creator, the King, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You mentioned pride. Pride of what? Of race? Ethnicity? That's also lack of understanding the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And lack of understanding of oneself. Allah says in the Quran, أَلَمْ يَرَ الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. Doesn't he see, the human being, doesn't he see we're created from nutfah, liquids, and then become this disputing guy, disputing Allah, خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. أَوْلَمْ نَخْلُقكُم مِّن مَّاءٍ مَّهِينٍ. Allah said, didn't I create you from this harmful liquids? هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا. Was it a time that human was not worthy of anything to be mentioned? No PhD, no bachelor degree, no medicine degree, no engineer degree, no big house, no name even. Nothing being worthy of being mentioned. If you look to their birth, the year you were born, count 2 years before that, 1 year before that. During the pregnancy, your mother doesn't know, my mother. Somebody asked, what does your child look like? There's no ultrasound in my child. She will say, I don't know. Allah says in the Quran, يا أيها الإنسان, O human being, ما غرك بربك الكريم. And Rasulullah said, this is a question Allah will ask every person when he stands before him in the day of judgment. يا أيها الإنسان, O man, human being, ما غرك بربك الكريم. What distracted you? What not make you mindful? Why you're heedless of the message of your Lord, the most generous? Is he because he was giving you all of the things and you took it for granted? Because he was generous? Is your ignorance? Is your ability that having things that you thought that you were self-sufficient? What make you not be mindful of Allah? ما غرك بربك الكريم الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك. وهو created you, خلقك فعدلك, and he created this balance within you. Intellectual, the emotional, the physical needs, and so forth. فعدلك made you in a way that you'll be able to walk, talk. عدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك. He made you look different. Your mother, in the womb of your mother, he didn't know what you look like. But I made you the way you look, the color that you have of your skin, the feature that you have. Therefore, the lack of the issue here is this, that the lack of understanding the nature between us and Allah makes us arrogant. Now, how then you create spiritual resilience of being arrogant? Is to understand oneself first. وفي أنفسكم أفلا تبصرون. Don't you look into your own self? And the most important things of understanding oneself, understanding our limitation and the remedy of our mistakes and our vulnerability. Those are the key of creating spiritual resilience. Because otherwise, we're going to rely on our money, we're going to rely on our intellectual power, we're going to rely on our connection, we're going to rely on that. And then we forget to pray our prayer on time, we forget to pray our tahajjud, we don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make dua, we don't make istighfar, because we're too comfortable with our power and we do not realize our limitation. For example, Qarun, very wealthy man. People ask him, "Inna Allah la yuhibbul farihin." Don't be arrogant. You know, لا تبغي الفساد في الأرض. Don't seek corruption on earth. What did he say to respond to them? قال إنما أوتيتها على علم عندي. This knowledge had nothing to do with this money, had nothing to do with Allah. Because I'm a smart guy, I work hard, I went to the business school, and I know how to make money. Therefore, God has nothing to do with it. أوتيتها على علم عندي. My own knowledge brought money to me. For those who are self-centered, their immune system of spiritual resilience is at zero. Anything boosts their ego, anything that fulfills their desire, anything that, you know, the whims tell them to do, they go ahead and do it because they lack spiritual resilience. Because they lack understanding of oneself. نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم. They're not mindful of Allah. Allah made them become not mindful of themselves. When a person is not aware of oneself, that means they're not aware of Allah. There's a relationship between understanding oneself and understanding Allah Almighty. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ, He's saying that I want you to reflect on yourself and then compare this vulnerable human being to Allah Almighty, the infinite in His power, the infinite in His knowledge, the infinite in His mercy. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only Allah can make that statement. Allah made the statement of all humanity, two powerful statements. One, He declared that all human beings are fuqara. You know what faqir? What is faqir? ما هو الفقير? Poor person. Allah said everyone has nothing. Allah said يا أيها الناس, O humanity, أنتم الفقراء إلى الله. You are the one indeed فقراء to Allah. والله هو الغني الحميد. Allah is self-sufficient, worth of praise. إن يشاء, if you want to, يذهبكم, that's what the faqr comes from. Faqr, when you are completely vulnerable. يذهبكم, He can wipe you out, all of you from the face of the earth. ويأتي بخلق جديد, He can bring new creation. وما ذلك على الله بعزيز. It's not difficult for Allah to do so. Overnight can wipe out humanity. For the spiritual resilience begins with understanding oneself and understanding the relationship with Allah Almighty. When that takes place, then a person become again have this self-awareness, we call it self-awareness. You know, when you want to assist somebody mental state, say you're a psychiatrist or a counselor, and somebody come to you and somebody say this person has an illusion. The day for them is the night and the night is the day, they don't know who they are. When they sit before you, the first thing you ask them is, sir, ma'am, lady, man, father, or sister, what time is it? You ask them what time. You ask, is it a day or night? Can you state your name for me, please? Can you state your name? Okay. Where do you live? Basic questions. You know, in a spiritual sense, there's a spiritual assessment of an awareness of a person, and you come to know whether that person is an illusion, living an illusion, or living reality. Ask him, did you pray? He said, no, I didn't pray. Why not? I'm not a religious guy. So why are you not religious? Why are you not connected with Allah? I just said, I don't have time for it. That person living in an illusion. Because the way I don't have time for it, as if he controlled the time, and as if he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I live out of your time. You don't have time for it. When it comes time, death comes, and Allah takes your soul, you will not have time, really. Understanding the limitation of oneself, understanding that time is about your life. Every day pass, you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that person doesn't understand that. A person like Qarun said, he's even an illusion. He didn't realize that although he has a lot of wealth, but the bite of food he took and was chewing on it, he could have been choking on it. If we stop breathing for a second, well, the oxygen of Allah is gone. All the money was not going to help. That's the vulnerability of human being. And that's why you read through the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about my vulnerability and your vulnerability. أيها الناس Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. He said, don't let the dunya deceive you, he says. Because gharar and ghurur is deception. Don't live in the world of deception. Live in the world of reality. And the world of reality is a follower. Sometimes dunya is there, sometimes dunya is not there. What only can be sustained is your spiritual resiliences. It helps you even explain the dunya. A person loses their job, loses a loved one. A person, gets sickness. How can you understand that and be able to face this if you don't have spiritual resiliences? Somebody make you and I angry, and we want to react in a violent way. Only spiritual resiliences make us hold ourselves back. A person get promotion in their job. Only spiritual resiliency make them refocus and says, the thank to Allah, not because I'm a smart guy. Allah bestowed this upon me. And the person makes shukr to Allah. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Attribute anything that we get in life to Allah first, before to human being. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا إِن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Your will cannot prevail unless Allah allow it to be. This is the beginning of the spiritual resilience. Understanding this nature between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then my brothers and sisters, there's a manifestation of this relationship between us and Allah. Allah gave us a program to create a spiritual resilience. Because nothing in Islam is abstract. The first thing is what we just did. What was that? Before I spoke, we pray. If anyone tell you that he's spiritually connected and has spiritual resilience, he doesn't pray, they're lying about it. Or they don't know. They don't have it. It begins with salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. So the prayer protects you from committing sins. And fahsha and munkar, what is not acceptable and what is considered open sin. Person become bragging about this. Prayer make a person not doing that. Then you ask yourself, do some people commit major sins and do you pray? And they commit it all the time? and they pray. Then the question is, how that happened? Allah speaks the truth all the time. Therefore, the prayer is not completely been fulfilled in the way it should be fulfilled. Rasulullah, a man came and prayed in the masjid. Prayed so, boom, 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 boom. And then he came to Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, صلي فإنك لم تصلي. Go and pray because you have not prayed. What? Just pray. So some people don't pray. You have not prayed. You moved up and down. You did some gymnastic things, but you didn't pray. The man went back. Boom, 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 boom. Came back. Said he prayed. Rasulullah قال صلي فإنك لم تصلي. Pray because you have not prayed. The man go a third time, does the same thing, ups and down, and came. Rasulullah صلي فإنك لم تصلي. Said, Ya Rasulullah, la ahsinu ghayraha. That's all I know. That's how I know to pray. The Rasulullah told him how to pray. He says, when you pray, take your time. Taking your time is for reflection, contemplation. Especially for the imam, by the way, you should not make the sujood long and the ruku' long because we don't know people behind. But when you pray your sunnah, when you pray your tahajjud, take your time. When you pray by yourself, take your time. Because it's guaranteed that if a person prays with concentration, even one rak'ah, it brings a feeling for them that nothing else brings. That's why a person should seek this moment, that moment of connection, and to try to prolong the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Almighty. And therefore, in order for all of us to have spiritual resiliency, all of us have to guard our prayer. حافظوا على الصلاة والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين. Allah said, guard your prayer and the middle prayer, which is Asr, most ulama says, and stand before Allah in humility. حافظوا على الصلاة. حافظوا, guard your prayer. The word begins. Guarding the prayer. If we do that, then we started the spiritual resilience in the good, great sense. And the manifestation of the relationship, I said before, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it become real. Ulama says that no one really prayed well to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with understanding what the prayer is all about. That person become arrogant. Because the sujood, a person does the prostration, is not a physical prostration. When a person makes a sujood like this, what is the lower part of the body? What? There's two organs, they're the lowest.
Heart and head.
Heart and the head. And those are the two places where to be humble. There's two places not to submit. Submission is not in just physical movement, but the submission of the brain, where the ideas come from. The submission of the heart, where the feelings about will come from. When you do that, then you create what I call the firewalls of a spiritual resilience. Your firewalls is this and this. Computer guys, firewalls. A person must have a software here in the brain and a software here that it creates that firewall to protect the heart and the mind. Not only that, to make a person interpret life based on the spiritual concept, based on the spiritual reality, not the physical reality. You know, I don't know how many of you know Imam al-Ghazali. You know Imam al-Ghazali? Imam al-Ghazali, he wrote a book called Al-Munqidh min al-Dalal. Have you read that book? Deliverance from Error. Deliverance from Error. I want you to read that book. Because talk about his spiritual struggle and how he came to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He went through the philosophy and then through science. That means he went to his brain side, you know? And then he went to his heart, seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said something very powerful. Part of the mechanism of spiritual resilience is to know that sometimes when you see things, you need to see them as they are, not as they pretend to be. You have a cup of water. You put a pen on it. Put a pen in a cup of water. Glass, and a glass cup. You see it, what do you see?
Okay.
See it as broken. Is that the reality of it? Many people, they don't see the reality of the dunya, they see a broken pen. How do we see things as they should be seen? A person should see them with the heart, not with the eyes. But the heart has to be awake and not have any sickness on it. If a person have pink eye, does a person be able to look to the light with the pink eye? Very irritated with eyes. There's some people have a pink heart, not pink eye. In the sense that I'm using that as a form of disease. But they don't realize that. They don't see the light. Because anything wrong with the light is wrong with the heart that does not see the light. When the heart is clear, then the heart is called al-basira, not basar. And basira is the inner eye that make persons see reality as should be seen, not as we pretend to be. You see what I'm saying? Imam al-Ghazali gave an example. Look, this man was very brilliant, rahimahullah. He said that he looked at the stars, and some of those stars are millions of years dead. They're not alive. You know that? When you see the light, some of the stars, the light of them, only you see them now. It took that long to come here. But the star itself does not exist. Therefore, a person has to be able to see with basira. By the way, the example of the stars, I give the example of great prophets. All the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They pass away, but their light keeps shining. Millions of years after they pass away. And Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, now his light was all over the world. He passed away sallallahu alayhi wa sallam 1400 years ago. And his light, people will see until the day of judgment. Because Allah said about him, يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. Siraj munir, like a bright star. And still, you see the star. Although physically the star is not here, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but his light is all over us. You see the light of Mustafa, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Therefore, resilience begins with the person performing the salah in the way that should be performed, and then the salah will lead to basira, ability to see things, reality of things. Let us give an example. And I want to be frank about issues that concern people here in America. And have some youth, I see some youth sitting. And maybe I'll ask the youth, okay, tell me a reason a person does not pray. Reason why people don't pray. Muslim who doesn't pray. One reason. Yes.
A lot of students don't play in college when they classes.
Because of the classes. Okay. They don't pray at all, or they pray late.
Wait.
Pray late. I'm asking if somebody doesn't pray at all. We're going to come to the late praying late.
Laziness.
What that?
Laziness.
Who said laziness? That's laziness. Okay, people are lazy. Why people are lazy? The prayer.
They don't have high human.
The what?
They don't have high human.
Yes, what the lack of high himma? Why?
There's no immediate result.
What
There's
that?
no immediate result. I mean, the result is later on. I mean, there's no immediate benefit of it.
They don't know what?
There's no immediate benefit. Like you cannot.
There's no immediate benefit, or they don't understand the benefit.
They don't see the sun.
They don't see the benefit. They don't see the benefit. Why they don't see benefit? Because they're not using their heart, because their heart is being blocked. Basira is absent. You know, if a person knows what is in the prayer, they will take it like oxygen. They will take it like water. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي. I wish I have advanced to my life or my life. Because the real life is a spiritual life, that life to come. When a person not praying, they deprive themselves from the mercy of Allah. وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. A person does not pray, he indicates that he does not need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he doesn't know that he needs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala big time, because his mere existence depends on the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, spiritual resilience begins from understanding this relationship with Allah, and begins with praying and guard our prayer and benefit from the prayer. Therefore, the practical aspect of the prayer is to need to ask ourselves after every prayer, what did I get out of this prayer today? Where is my state? Where is my hal? If a person connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that sense, then he or she be able to interpret life based on just salah. The khair and the shar, the test of good and bad will be interpreted by that person. The second issue of the spiritual resilience is fasting. People have problems with physical desires. Rasulullah gives them advice, says, fast. عليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. Why? الصيام جنة. الصيام جنة. Fasting is a shield. Get the habit of fasting. Voluntary fasting. Because fasting will create that system of resilience, because a person will just resist temptation. But the person has to have a focus on understanding why we don't get it. Therefore, if a person had a problem that taking away their hawa and responding to their temptation and their desire, they have to discipline it. Imagine you've sold your hawa, your desire, like a wild horse. What do you do with the wild horse? Wild horse want to be domesticated. What do you do with it? What's that?
Chain it down.
Chain down, but a person have to be what?
Right.
You cannot let the white horse watching it and then you say, oh, I'm going to sit down and do this and that. You have to conquer it. A person have to make the attempt to discipline the white horse. And this comes from understanding that there's a wild horse. You know what I mean? If the person says, there's not a wild horse, just ride on it. The person will assume what? The horse is okay, but boom, on the floor. But if he go to it with understanding, he has to control it, and to have the energy and the strength to control it, then he knows what to put into it to make the wild horse not become wild anymore. That is our soul. When it goes wild, somebody has to be in charge. Now, many people say to me, listen, I tried to quit. Don't take it personal. I tried to quit smoking. And I couldn't. I said, did you try to be on the top of the wild horse? He said, I tried, quit, but I came back to fix that. Or I tried to quit looking to the bad pictures and bad movies. I couldn't. I came back to it. I said, how do you deal with the wild horse? The wild horse, if you are on the top of the wild horse and it threw you out of his back, you quit. If you want to discipline the horse, you have to get back on the back of the horse. One time, second time, third time. But you have to remember that to get off when about to be, so you don't get injured. And you get back to it. Don't be spiritually broke. Don't let anything break you down. Stay with the task. Now, some ulama, they talk about desires like a child is being nursed. When you nurse the child, there come a time you say you want to do what? Wean the child. Ulama said, وَالنَّفْسُ كَالطِّفْلِ. Human being soul like a child. You have to be able to wean it from something. They say, you cannot do this. And I cry, and I say, I have a headache, I don't believe that I cannot smoke anymore. You know, I feel like missing my group. You know, you tell a young person, says, quit this, he said, you know, you're going to remove me from my friends. I'm going to just sit with them. I'm not going to smoke that pot. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to just sit with them. I said, no, 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 you have to be removed from the environment. Then they start what? Instead of weaning, they start what? Whining. Like, no. Let me say something. If a person wants to quit, they have to know what they're going to get as the result of quitting. What is the reward? What is the pleasure come out of that? Because passive repentance is always a person who relapse. Has to be positive, proactive repentance. What do I mean by that? لَمَنْ تَابَ وَآمَنَ وَعَمِلَ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. Tab, and then iman come to the heart, the sweetness of it. وَعَمِلَ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. Replace the bad deeds with good deeds. Enjoyment becoming a righteousness is the second issue of resiliences. And finally, I would like to say so that I spoke longer than I thought when I speak, is to understand the following relationship very quickly and to create this spiritual resilience. One, the issue of patience. And patience, sabr, has this following. Why? You ask them to be patient. Why? Why people should be patient? What causes a person to be patient?
Promise of reward.
What that?
The promise of the reward.
The promise of the reward. That's called the outcome. Person say, study hard for the exam. Why? Because we want you to pass the test. Why are you passing the test? Because you can have a degree. Why are you going to have a degree? Because I'm going to have a job. Or good glory of dunya, whatever it may be. Therefore, there's eyes on the prize. Allah says, in the office, those who are patient, they get the reward was there's no endless measurement of reward, just abundance of reward. But even sabr make a person accomplish in this life. achieve their high capacity as human beings, the spiritual capacity. Because the spiritual capacity is what makes you be able to resist all the temptation. Let me ask you this. You need to read the Quran. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Let me ask you this. When a person said, I don't pray because the sister said I'm lazy. I said, you're lazy because you don't understand your capacity. You will be able to do this. A person said, I cannot quit doing this and that. I said, no, because you lack of capacity. You don't understand your ability. You need to discover oneself. That is spiritual resilience. Understanding capacity. For a person patient, they come to know their capacity. The capacity of Ayub alayhi salam, spiritual capacity, is what? Supple. Every single part of his body is aching and is sick, except his tongue, remembering Allah. People even left him. But and then when he was in that state, when he asked Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to him. I'm asking you what mine and your spiritual capacity in this world. Can I give you an example of the capacity when they talk about resiliences? How many people you felt sometimes, you don't have to raise your hand, you want to punch them, and you did not? And how many people didn't you punch? Physically, you got it. Many times you get. And how many times people use curse word or use language like, this person is this person is this. What are you using at the time? They're using their physical capacity of being able to speak. They're using the physical capacity to be heard, but they're not using the spiritual capacity. Resiliences come from increasing your spiritual capacity. For example, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam lay down on the tree. Two mushrikeen, people don't believe, they said, this is the best time to kill this man. Would you do it or do it by himself? His companions away from him. He's laying down, his sword hanging on the tree. He hang on the sword on the tree. Above him, in the branch of the tree, hang his sword. The man comes running down from the mountain, goes, take the sword of Rasulullah, boom! Take it out of the pocket, stood of the head of Rasulullah. Rasulullah opened his eyes, the man has a sword in front of him, in the top of his head. You know, standing there next to his head, Rasulullah. Look at him and say, Ya Muhammad, man yamna'uka minni. Who's going to protect me? You and I, one to one. Rasulullah laying down with a spiritual capacity. Said, Allah. Infinite power. The man sword fell on his hand. Rasulullah took the sword. And the table turned down. Said, وَأَنْتَ مَنْ يَمْنَعُكَ مِنِّي. And you're going to protect me if you do that for me. We're one to one now. You know what the man said? He appealed to Rasulullah's spiritual capacity. That's the resilience of not having revenge. He said, Afuka, your forgiveness is going to stop you from hurting. Because I know your capacity is bigger than your physical capacity. Your spiritual capacity bigger than the physical capacity. So Rasulullah took the sword back to the pocket. He said, accept Islam? The man said, no. Then Rasulullah said, the man said, but I promise you, I will not fight you ever again, nor I will join anyone people are fighting. When he went back to his people, said, I came from the best of mankind. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam entering Mecca, when he conquered Mecca, and people of Mecca, they killed his uncle, they hurt him, they confiscated his property. Now he has the upper hand. All Mecca is under him. قال يا أهل مكة, all people of Mecca, ما تظنون أني فاعل بكم? Do you think what I'm going to do to you today? They know his spiritual capacity. قالوا أخ كريم وابن أخ كريم. You are a generous man, son of a generous man. We know. We're relying on that. Even his enemy, we're relying on your generosity. قال اذهبوا فأنتم طلقاء. Go, you free people. The question is this. And by the way, when a person have a spiritual capacity, the light goes on all the time. even a dark moment, the light helped them, get them out. والذين إذا مسهم طائف من الشيطان تذكروا فإذا هم مبصرون. When shaitan suggests an idea to them, the light goes on and the bad thought goes away. Because spiritual resilience is when a person is a maqam of ihsan. تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. To worship Allah as if you see Him. If you don't see Him, He sees you. That is spiritual resilience. And therefore, I don't like to talk longer than that, so that there's some other ideas that I want to suggest. But I will stop here for any questions. So, yes.
I was just wondering if you could offer some practical things that people can do in their daily lives to build some effective.
Your heart, my sister, like your phone. Your cell phone. You had a plan on your phone.
Yeah.
How many minutes you can talk. You have a battery that it goes down when you use it. When we get up in the morning, we go to work, we mix with people and so forth, the battery of our heart drains. They have 5 times charging, which is salah. Plug it 5 times. Also, don't allow people to use it in a negative way. Be with people who give you energy, who recharge your heart. Make your plan good social environment and safety net work. What do I mean by that? The most dangerous things is friendship. Wallahi, the most dangerous things is social environment. Social environment dictate is your spiritual state. And this social environment can be a virtual social environment, could be a chat room in your computer. Be careful whom you're chatting with online. Be careful what you're watching on movie or YouTube or online. Be careful of that. Because the heart, like a computer also, there's input. Anything you put on it, it stays there. And therefore, when you create the firewall, anytime a virus coming, the scan and the virus scan is supposed to say what? Alert, 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 alert. Be careful. And in order to do that, to create this firewall, you have to be very selective on whom you want to associate yourself with. People have grudge or hatred toward others, where they have nothing but gossiping all day long. And they care about this person, you know, they cheat, they don't wear light clothes, they this and that, and they fighting people. They're wasting time. Life is precious, don't waste it. Spiritual resilience come from creating an environment that helps you to sustain your resilience. I give you an example. Is anyone a medical doctor here? Medical doctor. It's the flu season. They have a sign in Fairfax County that says, I know there's a medical doctor in the back. They says, spread love, but not the flu. So don't hug somebody when you have flu. Don't shake hands with somebody in the flu. When a person knows they are not in a good state, they need to work on themselves. For example, if my wife said, I want to pray tahajjud, I said, Muhammad, I said, why you pray tahajjud? Just go to sleep yourself. Forget about it. I'm not only not praying, but I'm giving her the flu. I said, don't pray. If you are not doing it, don't shake hands. You see what I'm saying? Let the person be connected. There's some people like that. they make sure that you become contagious. They are contagious, they make sure that you have it. Because they don't want you to get sick, spiritual, I'm talking about spiritual sickness. And therefore sometimes you might have to make sure when you enter some places, wash your hand well. When you enter, when you leave. You know what I'm talking about in the spiritual sense. Don't let it stay. Because you and I've been in a gathering that I didn't like it. But I made sure, because I'm there for a purpose, but I made sure when I walked out, I washed my hand well, in a sense, spiritual sense. I made sure when I entered, they asked me to speak about Islam. But somebody has alcohol in their hand here, somebody drinking. I'm in an environment, I've been invited to speak. Can I dictate to people, say, get out of it? I cannot. I'm here to convey what my message is. But I make sure after I leave, I say, Astaghfirullah. Oh Allah, don't ever test. Oh Allah, I don't want to be tested with alcohol in my life. Protect me. I don't want to be feeling the travels. You see what I'm saying? You acknowledge what the people have done is not right. The dangers of this desensitization from sin. You sit around it, people speaking, smoking the pot and all of them. You know, I don't smoke with those guys. They're my friends. What can I do? I'm chatting with them. That's how it begins. Desensitization. And therefore, this one, the other things that guys want to give, before a person is asleep, do something called muhasabah. Every night, to create a special resilience, a person have to question oneself every night before they go to sleep. Says, what did I do? Whom did I hurt? Who did I spoke to that not good much? What prayer did I miss? Was I my right mind doing this? When a person goes that every night checking oneself, more likely that will create a conscience on them, next day they become aware of their action. Become aware of their action. And then last thing I want to say, because you asked for practical. If you have bad habit, any bad habit, say if a person doesn't pray on time, or had a bad habit, they watch the wrong things, or that any bad sin person commit. Make a commitment, you will not do it. You quit for 40 days, consistently, and make a chart. Go day by day with the promise to yourself. And by the way, don't say that to yourself only. Write it down, make a pledge, put it in the refrigerator, put it in your bedroom, tell somebody about it. Tell your spouse, tell your friend, tell somebody, because more likely if you make a pledge and you tell somebody about it, you're going to carry it through. When you make it by yourself, more likely you're going to break it. So that person reminded, make it. And then, every day, you prayed on time, make a check. Every day you did not lie, a person did not lie, make a check. Now, after 40 days, inshallah, more likely it will become easy for a person not doing this anymore. But you have to say, if I break the promise, I have to start all over again. Counting begins, even if you break it in the 39 days. See, I'm going to count until reach 40. I have to go the 9-yard or the touchdown, 100-yard football. I have to do the touchdown. And actually, since I'm using football, in the way of doing this, you're going to have a pushback. You know, ideas and desires and so forth. But you have to keep pushing, keep pushing. And you're playing against the shaitan and against your weapons. And they're not easy to take on them. But they require a lot of training. A person has to understand the rule of the game. The rule of the game is to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. If you walk one step toward Him, He closes the gap for you. You're going to win at the end of the day. If you have the right intention. Brother Khalid.
You answered the question. I struggle with not just doing my salat on time, but doing my salat at all. And it's a challenge every day between work and meetings and phone calls and I'm sorry?
It's a day-to-day.
Yeah, day-to-day, it takes you away, and I just needed some help in convincing myself that it's the time and we have to do it.
I give exercise yesterday at Adams. And there's an ayah Surah Al-Infitar. Allah says, Ya ayyuha al-insanu ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem. Oh human being, what make you not mindful and why you are heedless of your Lord? I said, every day look to the mirror and say to yourself, talk to yourself. Before Allah asks me and you and them, because you're going to ask this question, Allah, why did you pray? Ya ayyuha al-insanu ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem. You don't want Allah to ask you that question, because if you ask that question, we're going to get in trouble. When He asks, من نوقش الحساب فقد هلك فاصل. If Allah asks you, you make sure that rest assured that something is going to happen after that. You don't want Allah to ask you. For a person to look to the mirror every day and ask himself, يا أيها الإنسان محمد ما غرك بربك الكريم. What make you not being mindful of your Lord the most generous? الذي خلقك, and you come to yourself or to your mirror. The one who created you. خلقك فسواك بمثل وجهك فعدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك. Nothing of you is made by you. And therefore, this head now deserves to go down in sajda. This head should go to sajda. These eyes that been Allah created, should they go down to Allah? This face, Allah fashioned, should go down to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why not? Does not go to Allah. Does anyone more important than Him subhanahu wa ta'ala? Does anything that we have is more important than Him? Because everything that we think more important than Him, made by Him and created by Him for us, that we cannot make more important than Him, Allah. Spiritual resilience is complete awareness of Allah. Begins with that. Begins with that. When a person become connected, it become restless. I remember my grandfather that he was always restless for salah. You know, like you feel like heat under his feet or something. Until he pray and then he relaxes, smile like that. Because prayer like food. When people get hungry, they seek to eat. Spiritually, a person has to have 5 meals a day, in the spiritual sense. And he cannot miss those meals. A person should seek them. Because that's a nutrition that creates spiritual resiliences, meaning the immune system become great. That means the body becomes healthy in the spiritual sense, that they can defend themselves against viruses. Yes, sister.
I just wanted to say that one of the things that helped me a long time ago, with the salah, is I heard about the hadith, and I'm not sure if it's the complete hadith, but it says, La baraka fi amal ada as-salah. I just felt that whatever I'm doing, it's lacking blessing. If I'm doing salah right now, for whatever it is, it's definitely lacking blessing. So that was one of the things. If I'm distracted, I just feel that whatever I'm doing right now is just lacking blessing. So, and one of the other hadiths that so whatever I'm seeking provision for, I mean, I can't get it unless it's in His way, not my way.
Absolutely. This is beautiful. You hit the nail on the head. Whereas Allah take the blessing of the time when a person does not dedicate some time to Allah. I give you one example that happened to me one time. That I tell one of the brothers, listen, Maghrib about to be here. let's pray, then leave. 5 minutes more. He said to me, at that time I was a student, he said, listen, well, let's get into the highway, and then we exit, then look to pray. And it's literally it was 5 minutes, or even 4 minutes before morning. And we're in the place who can pray first. He said, no, let's get up. Then we get exit. We have 10 minutes, 10 minutes, so they can get closer. We're stuck in traffic for 3 hours. There was a trailer flipped in the highway, 395, and we stuck for a foot. I said to him, you want more punishment than this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, sometimes somebody whispered in you, said, don't do it again. You don't hear somebody push you, said, I told you not to. And if they slap you, that's the gift. Don't let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you a slap. I said to him, this is just a whisper. Like if it's a whisper. Be careful next time. You could be something greater than that. Yes. Any other question? Yes. Bismillah.
Yeah, you know, like you said, like social interaction, everything reflect on our life, you know.
Yes.
Especially when the young kids going high school, you know, they pray namaz, everything. But when you go high school, you know, like that's another thing. We can afford the life, you know, we have back home. But over here, we have to take a risk or chance, or we are facing this thing day by day, you know, like. And mashallah, you know, they're doing good, everything, praise Allah, everything, but still I feel, you know, a little, like, less confident, you know, like, how they can even pray in high school, you go over there, how they can make themselves resilient like that.
In order to make a child spiritually resilient, you have to know the environment. You cannot give somebody immunization if you don't know what kind of disease. You have to give the right immunization. What I mean by this? You have to be able to understand the reality children face. And sometimes our expectation also has to be reasonable. I said to people, like, when you see somebody, a youth at the Adam Center, even if it's just a little bit, a person off a little bit in some behavior, maybe not dressing the best and so on, I said, still, you should shake their hand and say, I'm so glad you're here. Because that person could be somewhere else. Trust me. If you know what the children go through in this country, if you see someone there in a masjid, you should kiss their hand. Honestly. And I tell people, please, please, don't raise the bar so high, you make it difficult that you're going to give up. Raise it some level, but accept the good things from them and encourage them. They're going to give more. Smile in their face. But if a child, a young man walk in the masjid and everyone checking them out, oh, subhanAllah, hijab, who does girls here? Why she's here? Ya akhi, subhanAllah, imagine this girl's my daughter, your daughter. She just walked in the masjid. Softness, gentleness, smile in their face. Don't keep passing judgment on people. Then we bring people in and then raise them. But don't expect them to say, when you walk in from the door, you have to look a certain way. Rasulullah, if Rasulullah did that, no one have accepted Islam. The Sahaba came to Islam, some of them were drinking until the Quran prohibited alcohol. When to drink at night, they come to Fajr drunk, some of them. Then they said, Ya Allah, bring us a clear verse, say that alcohol is haram. Then Allah prohibited the verse. You have to accept. A man drank of Rasulullah in front of Rasulullah. He quit, of course, he's not drinking. But when they were in Khaybar, he found alcohol, he drank in front of Rasulullah. Rasulullah, when they drank with them, the urge came to him. There's a public punishment for this kind of things. And one of the Sahaba said, La'anak Allah, my curse of Allah be upon you. Rasulullah said, don't curse him. Don't curse him. إِنَّهُ يُحِبُّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. This man loves Allah and Rasulullah.
No, in mind.
Can you imagine that? He said he loves Allah. If you put the love of Allah in them, if they start praying 5 times a day, if they do their best in the fast Ramadan, if they stay from alcohol, stay from the... SubhanAllah. We have to help them with the spiritual struggle. Humility of our own. Create an alternative for them. Excitement in our masajid. That's what I want from the youth. You know? And parents, when they go to public school and they see what's happening, and the child says, I'm making wudu to pray, he said, son, come. I'm very proud of you. You just remember the salah by yourself. I'm very proud of you. I just was in PTA meeting and I saw what the environment you are in. I'm very proud. Give me a hug. He will never forget to pray next time because you said something positive. We should not talk to children only when they don't pray, but we have to acknowledge their struggle. When they pray, you celebrate that. That will create that resilience. Provide love. Love for children. Associate Islam with a positive reinforcement rather than negative. Rasulullah, a young man sat with him to eat. What he does, he didn't say Bismillah. Boom, jump in the food. He led with his left hand. And he was eating all over the place. Like, you see meat there? Yeah, eating like that. Rasulullah, Rahma al-Alameen. Did he say, boy, what are you doing? What do you think you are? Say Bismillah. Why are you eating like that? He didn't say Bismillah. He didn't say Bismillah. You eating with your left hand and you eating all over the place. Why like that? Rasulullah didn't know that. Because that's negative. You reinforce the positive. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا غلام. Oh young man. Oh boy. When you eat, Samillah. He didn't say Bismillah. He said, just Samillah. Next time. Say Bismillah. وَكُلْ بِيَمِينِكَ. Eat with your right hand. وَكُلْ مِمَّا يَلِيكَ. Eat what near you. Many people make a mistake in the way they correcting people. You didn't do that. You don't. No. Force the positive. Because that makes a person be defensive. Okay, other question? I think Maghrib time is it? Almost. So we have time. Any question? No? Yes?
Yeah, I have a question. So, I typically pray on time, but sometimes I just don't feel like praying, and I feel as though that if I pray, it won't be sincere, and I kind of use that as an excuse not to pray. And what advice would you give? Because I guess like if I do go to prayer, it's not, not really focused.
Before, you don't pray because you believe that if you pray that you're not sincere in the prayer.
Because I don't know, maybe I just ate too much or I stayed at night and it's like I don't feel like praying, and then I'm making an excuse not to pray because I'm really not feeling like praying, and if I pray I feel as though that I'm just doing it just to do it and it's not out of sincerity.
Okay, that's how Shaitan get all of us. Shaitan make you spiritually depressed, feeling like you're good for nothing, your prayer is not going to be good, you ate too much, you're going to be this and that. One of the spiritual resiliency is consistency. Write this down. If you are not consistent, you will not be spiritually resilient. If you do it once in a while. Consistency, it is one of the most important pillars of spiritual resilience. If you tell you you're sleepy, you say, still I'm going to pray. You tell you that you ate too much, he said, you're not concentrated. And let me tell you something about concentrating Salah. Look to the Salah as a total unit. You enter Salah of Asr, for example. You prayed first rakah. And you went about your checking account, you went about your email account, and you read all emails in your head, and you said, I'm going to respond to this, I'm going to do that. You're completely out. He didn't know the recite Fatiha or Tashahhud. You know, he went to Ruku', and then all of a sudden he said, SubhanAllah, I was not concentrating. Don't get that thought. He says to Shaitan, you snatched one rak'ah. I'm going to go to the second rak'ah, I'm going to have khushu'. Watch out. Allahu Akbar, second rak'ah. Alhamdulillah. Think about Allah. You don't have to close your eyes. You're saying, you have khushu'. Now you have 3 out of 4. He snatched the first one from you, he snatched the second. You remember the third one. He said, SubhanAllah. What I was thinking, I was wandering around. SubhanAllah, I'm standing before Allah Almighty. He said, okay, you get the 2. What's the second 2? I'm not going to let you get all my salah. I have khushu'. He snatched 3 of them. He said to me, you took 3. I know that. I know this. But you know what? The third rak'ah, 4 rak'ah, I'm going to devote it to Allah. He snatched a rak'ah, the 4th of them. You remember in the last sajda. He said, no, this sajda, subhanAllah, I'm going to just cry to Allah. I'm going to concentrate. Don't let him get with all of it. Fight him back. Fight him back. And every time he tries to knock you down, stand up and fight back. That's spiritualism. Another question? Okay. طيب جزاكم الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت. عافنا فيمن عافيت. تولنا فيمن توليت. اكفنا شر ما قضيت. انك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما. تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما. ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما. اللهم انا نسالك رضاك والجنه ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. ادخلنا الجنه مع الابرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. وقنا عذاب النار. وقنا عذاب النار. وقنا عذاب النار. ادخلنا الجنه مع الابرار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا أدنى من ذلك يا رب العالمين. Oh Allah, clean our heart from envies, from hatred, from jealousy, and fill it with your love and love of your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh Allah, give us the best of this life and the best of life to come, and protect us from hellfire. Oh Allah, grant us spouses and offspring will be the comfort of our eyes and make us a leader of the righteous. Oh Allah, we admit that we have wronged ourselves. We fell short of our obligation. Oh Allah, forgive our sins. Oh Allah, we seek your forgiveness. We seek your mercy. We seek your generosity. Oh Allah, you know the weakness of ourselves. Oh Allah, you know that we have weakness and vulnerability. But your mercy is greater than our weaknesses. Your power greater than our vulnerability. Oh Allah, we seek your power, your mercy, your forgiveness. Oh Allah, make us, all of us, be able to overcome the struggle that we may have. The spiritual struggle that we may have. If that's about our prayer, or fasting, or concentration, or our tongue, or our heart, or our eyes. Allah shield us, protect us. Allah makes our heart full of light. Give us the light that we see. We can see things as they are, not as they pretend to be. Oh Allah, we ask you when this soul go back to you, that you entrusted all of us with it. Have us to die in the state of Islam, the state of Iman. Oh Allah, don't make our test in our belief, in our faith. Oh Allah, don't test us in our Iman, and make us, all of us, die in the state of Islam. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Oh Allah, make us among those who will be given an opportunity to drink from the hand of Al-Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh Allah, make us be able to achieve in the spiritual sense the high goal of all of us, to be in the company of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to be in the Firdaus al-A'la, and to be able to see you, Ya Allah, in the Day of Judgment. Oh Allah, clear our way from any hurdle or obstacles that might prevent us from seeking you, Allah. Oh Allah, make anything that you give us a vehicle, an opportunity to draw near to you, Allah. Oh Allah, give us an opportunity every time that we commit a sin, or every time that we're not mindful of you, Allah, we become alert sooner than later of our shortcomings and mistakes, so that we become back in the present. Oh Allah, don't deprive us from your mercy by having us to neglect our prayer. Oh Allah, make the worshiping of you the most beautiful joy that we get, the most comfort that we get. Oh Allah, don't let material world distract us from being always aware of you, Allah. Oh Allah, make your dhikr and your remembrance the sweetness things to our heart, the beautiful things that in our mind. Oh Allah, make the spiritual horizon for us a beautiful horizon that all of us seek, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask you to accept our supplication, our dua. Oh Allah, transform all of us tonight, this evening, Ya Allah. Make us, all of us, be transformed and change our life to the better, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, make this sitting today, this gathering, the talk we'll give, only for your sake, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, clean our heart from all the weaknesses, and oh Allah, give it the strength to overcome our shortcoming, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask you to accept our dua and to accept our prayer. ربنا تقبل منا إنك السميع العليم. تب علينا يا مولانا إنك التواب الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون.
الله أكبر